Hey everyone, and welcome to my last E3 2015 press conference reaction video in which we're going to kind of talk through what happened at Square Enix's press conference earlier today. Not a whole lot for me to talk through because there just wasn't a whole lot at this press conference for me. This was something that if you're a JRPG fan, of which I am a JRPG fan, I don't go down the rabbit hole like some other people. But let's walk through some of the big announcements that happened at the press conference, some of which were actually already spoiled in previous press conferences. The first thing that came up was a look at Just Cause 3, which I thought was maybe the most boring way to demonstrate Just Cause 3 imaginable, which was a lengthy video in which a monotone, boring voice discussed what Just Cause 3 was. It made it sound like it was Square Enix explaining Just Cause 3 to my parents, as opposed to what I would have really enjoyed was just show off some of the mayhem that's possible in this game. You don't have to try very hard for wild things to occur in the Just Cause games, yet somehow they managed to make a really exciting game look tremendously boring. And it didn't really look boring, it was just the tone of it was just sort of, come on, like, you're showing these kind of cool things on screen, and then a guy is just like, well, and then, there are 10 weapons that you have access to, and if you hit the R1 button, then you can scroll through those weapons. It was just so tonally different than what the game represents, which is just sort of over-the-top, Michael Bay, B-movie-ish sort of experience, and you thought they would have played into that. But then again, the entire Square Enix press conference felt sort of tone-deaf and weird and rigid and cardboardy in a way that maybe didn't match anything else we had seen, especially because it came right after Nintendo's press conference, which, whatever you thought of it, at least was light and fun and interesting and exciting about the games that were there, even if you weren't actually all that into the games they were talking about. They moved on from there into Nier, which is a game that whenever I mention Nier, people go, hey, you should play that game. And then immediately I'm reminded by someone else, but by the way, you have to beat the game multiple times in order to see the storyline for really what it is. And then I go, well, I guess I'm not going to play Nier. Maybe I will. It sounds like Nier, the new Nier project. They don't have a name for it yet. They said that even the name is sort of secretive and still under development. But it's being made in conjunction with Platinum, and the original director of Nier is coming in to work on it. And it seems like an odd choice, given that Nier was not a huge blockbuster hit. It was sort of a cult status RPG for the company. But hey, good to see them taking a risk on that, and certainly bringing in Platinum ensures that the gameplay will probably be stepped up a notch insofar as we talk about the combat, of which I would imagine there is going to be combat in that video game. And then also there was the dude who was wearing a moon mask, but I have trouble actually making fun of him for wearing the moon mask, because there was some tweets from GameSpot's Alexa Ray Korea in which he contextualized a little bit of what was happening with the director. He's actually just, like, I guess, very nervous in public. He doesn't like to show his face in public, and when he gave a GDC presentation, a spot where he wouldn't assume someone would there to be joking, they're meant to discuss serious topics and lessons in front of their peers, he wore a paper bag. So it is possible it's all part of an elaborate stunt and a troll to kind of mess with people, and it certainly inspires a lot of funny Twitter memes. But it also seems like maybe it's a guy who is just deeply uncomfortable with having to do the business of going out and talking to people and presenting things when he really just wants to stay in the office, private, away from people, and make his games. So maybe keep that in mind when you're cracking your jokes. It's not like it's something he's talked about, but it is something that does appear to be perhaps a phobia or at least something that causes the man a lot of anxiety. So curious to see what else is coming from Nier, but again, super early, not too much to say except that could be interesting, and maybe I should play Nier. I probably won't, because if I have to choose between a game like Nier and Persona 5, I'm going to choose Persona 5, and I'm probably, by choose Persona 5, I mean I need to play Persona 4. Of course, every time I say that, I'm just going to get a bunch of people saying, hey, play Persona 4, you jerk. I'll get there. I'll get there. It seems like Square Enix is going to turn the Go series into actual label. Hitman Go is one of my favorite games from 2014. It didn't make my top 10. It was like right there on the cusp of like 11, 12, 13. But they're turning another version of that with Lara Croft Go, which mostly just sounds like Lara Croft Go. Lara Croft Go. They showed some tiny little excerpts from it, but they suggested it's going to be a sort of simple, one-touch, minimalistic artwork interface action game, I guess. Hard to really say, but what was amazing about Hitman Go is that it somehow distilled what you do in the Hitman games, which is sort of like don costumes, adopt different strategies to assassinate your target, and navigate an environment with all sorts of different options. And they managed to make that happen in a turn-based game that doesn't have any of the blood or gore of the Hitman games. It was kind of incredible, and so I'm interested to see how they translate that idea to the much more ambitious, and ambitious is the wrong word, but there's a lot more going on in the Tomb Raider games. Or maybe there's not. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how they translate it, and Hitman Go was so well done that, hey, I'm willing to go around that once again. They announced that Final Fantasy VII is still getting ported to PS4, and that's just not going to happen for a while. Now it's happening in the winter. It's supposed to happen in the spring. I don't know what could be taking so long to port that. But then again, maybe because they announced the remake, they want to push off the port so they can tie that into a teaser for the remake that they're doing on the PlayStation 4 and other platforms, but at least it's going to premiere on PS4 first. Kingdom Hearts Unchained was announced for iOS and Android. Kingdom Hearts. Hey. And then also in the new Kingdom Hearts trailer, I played the first Kingdom Hearts. I liked it. The Disney fan service is fine and all, but I don't think the mechanics of those games are very good. I don't think they got better as time went on. I tried to play the second one, and that storyline was just incomprehensible garbage. Really, like I couldn't follow what the hell was going on. Like I guess I understood like the general plot threads, obviously, but like the actual motivations of characters and how everything tied together, I don't know. But then again, Kingdom Hearts 3 might have like Star Wars and some other great stuff, so I'll probably play Kingdom Hearts 3. It'll probably be just long enough that I'll go, those are some pretty graphics. I don't remember how boring and repetitive and weird and how Tetsuya Nomura these games are. I'll give you another shot. But then again, there's no even release date attached to Kingdom Hearts 3. So that game's probably coming out in like 4 years, if it comes out at all. And then maybe they'll do the same thing they did for the last Final Fantasy, which is let Nomura work on it for a long time. And then another producer will come in and be like, I'm the guy that actually has to ship this. And then they'll shove him off to another game that gets a bunch of fancy trailers with no release dates. They also confirmed that Star Ocean 5 is coming to the West for PS4. Haven't played Star Ocean. People seem to like those games, or at least the early ones, and then they kind of disappeared for a while, or they disappeared, and then also people have said the last couple of games are not very good. And then the last two major pieces of news involved a closer glimpse at Deus Ex Mankind Divided, the sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution, a game that, while not as revolutionary as the original Deus Ex, nothing was going to be, but I really enjoyed Human Revolution and thought it really set the stage for an impressive sequel. And we still don't know a whole lot about Mankind Divided. They said it's coming out early next year, so it's not that far off, all things considered. So my guess is we're actually going to be learning the kind of details that I would want to learn about the game in the near future. Not to mention, I think the little bit of gameplay that we've seen of it, the part that was shown at the press conference and that's been shown to press, really focuses on the action and the shooting, which isn't a surprise because that makes for an exciting demo. But when I play these games, I'll play them stealth. I try and not kill people. I try and make my way around the environment and not be seen. I enjoy interacting with the combat as a way to sort of get myself out of sticky situations. But I played Deus Ex and Human Revolution as someone who was save scumming my way through it. Not because I was trying to cheat, but because I really liked surveying the environment, being stealthy, and I kind of went out of my way to encourage that kind of behavior and playing. And I suspect this game will not ditch that, but I also have to realize, right, the stuff they're going to show at these press conferences is not the kind of stuff that I actually get hyped about with these games. So we'll have to see. I know that stuff will probably be there, but I'll have to be patient. Maybe they'll release some YouTube videos throughout E3 or after E3 that kind of show, hey, here's the stealth way to complete a mission. It won't be the first time that a company has done something like that. And last but not least, or maybe least, because I don't know if this is supposed to be exciting or not, Square Enix announced a brand new studio called Tokyo RPG Factory, which sounds dystopian and sad and weird, but it does sound like it's their attempt to start a brand new studio with brand new franchises. You know, Square Enix is a company that, if on one hand they're hitting the bottom of the barrel by making Final Fantasy VII a remake, not to say that it won't be fun or interesting or I'm not excited about it. I totally am excited about it because Final Fantasy VII is one of my favorite RPGs of all time, regardless of how it has aged or not aged over the past so many years. I don't even know how long it's been since that game came out. A long time ago. But Tokyo RPG Factory seems to be, even with a crappy name, an attempt for Square Enix to say, we need to be inventing brand new things that are as exciting as Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger. We need to be able to, look at Kingdom Hearts. That didn't exist 15 years ago, and they're able to mine that in a way, even if they never ship the sequels. At least it seems to take so goddamn long for them to get around to doing it. Kingdom Hearts is something brand new. Yes, it does involve nostalgia. Yes, it does blend with some of their Final Fantasy stuff, but it is wholly original too far. It is mild. It is original. It is original. I'm not going to attach any pejoratives to that. It is an original franchise, even if it draws in from other existing IPs to create something that feels new. And so, it seems like Tokyo RPG Factory is going to be even further from that. It's not going to pull from Disney or Marvel or anything like that. And they said that game is scheduled to come out sometime in 2016. And all they showed was some artwork that was kind of serene and calm, and there was piano music. And hey, I may have secretly been hoping for another Chrono Trigger game, but I'm okay if they don't make another one of those. If they can make something that is equally as interesting, as equally as fascinating, as equally as exciting as the games I've used to love from Square Enix, they don't seem to give me as much anymore, because that's really what we want to capture. But that does it. That is Square Enix's pre-E3 or E3 press conference, because it was the day that E3 opened. I'm going to get back to work. Just kind of looking around to see what else is happening in the world of games during this busy week, even though I'm not at E3 myself. Stay tuned to youtube.com/Patrick Klepek. You can go to twitch.tv/Patrick Klepek, and we'll do some Q&A live streams as more news and interesting stuff happens as the week progresses. And I'll be recording an episode of Match 3 podcast, which you can find on iTunes and at match3.simplecast.fm, where I'm joined by Gita Jackson and other folks. We're going to have some guests for the next 2 weeks because we're missing our other co, Sam Phillips. I'll talk to you guys later.